Got any candy?
No, these have no candy in them at all. These are all from the 1960s, 1970s.
What good are candy dispensers without candy?
Come on, man. You work with this guy.
Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome back. We post videos daily, so if you don't want to miss an upload, consider giving this video a thumbs up if you're a fan of Pawn Stars. Join the notification squad by subscribing and hitting that bell notification on, but also, don't forget to comment down below saying I subscribed to enter our monthly shoutouts, and we'll make sure to reply and thank as many of you as we possibly can. Hope you enjoyed the video. History Channel's Pawn Stars has been the network's most popular show basically since it first aired nearly a decade ago, and of the show's cast, Chumlee is definitely the fan favorite. Although he has become more responsible and reliable over the years, he is still the jester around the pawn shop. But while that makes him popular among the many viewers of the show, it doesn't necessarily sit well with everyone trying to do business at the Harrison store, and in today's video we are going to look at 6 times Chumlee got in arguments with customers. There have been a number of customers who were disappointed about the Pawn Stars' reaction to their items, and one of them was a man who came to the shop with a Pez dispenser collection.
Got any candy?
No, these have no candy in them at all. These are all from the 1960s, 1970s.
While he was pretty excited about the dispensers that were all from 1960s and 1970s and was looking to sell them for no less than $2,500, Chum didn't really see the point of having a bunch of empty candy dispensers, which already seemed to annoy the guy.
What good are candy dispensers without candy?
Come on, man. You work with this guy.
Seems like this is something that kids would be into collecting, man.
Come on, man. Busts my balls all day long.
Although Corey and Chumlee appeared to be interested, they were not willing to spend more than $1,000, which caused the customer to angrily walk out of the shop and call their offer an insult to the Pez community.
Can't believe one of them guys offered me $1,000 for them 50 pieces of Pez. That's an insult to the Pez community. I can't believe it. That's why they're chooches.
Hopefully he found someone who appreciated the empty candy dispensers more than those two, so he could sell his doubles to expand his collection further. The Pawn Stars have been scammed by customers a number of times, and we are sure that had he known what followed this deal, Chum would have started an argument with the person who sold him a fake piece of art for $300 in the episode Playing Crazy of the very first season of Pawn Stars, because the purchase not only left the old man pretty angry, but also meant that Chumlee had to go to class and pass Rick's test at the end of it. While the old man thought that Chumlee shouldn't deal in art at all,
should Chumlee be dealing in art? No. He barely knows how to tie his own shoes.
Chumlee felt that he had been working in the shop long enough to buy some cool stuff like art, so Rick decided to give him a lesson in how to distinguish a fake etching from a real one. He started by telling Chum how the artist first takes a copper plate and then puts a layer of wax over it, which is called a ground. After that, he takes a metal pen and writes, or rather draws, through the wax. Once he has finished the picture, he pours acid over the whole thing, which etches into copper where there is no wax to protect it, hence the name etching. In the next step, the artist puts ink on the picture that can now be seen on the copper plate, and then takes a piece of paper and presses the copper into it, so that the picture is transferred to that piece of paper. Based on this process, the first thing Chumlee should be looking for in an etching is whether the picture had been pressed into the paper, which will leave a dent in the paper where the copper plate was pressed into it with a great weight. And since the etching that Chum had bought didn't have a dent, he should have become skeptical right away, but instead of admitting his mistake, Chum now decided to claim that he had thought the discoloration on the paper was from the wax, but Rick was quick to point out that this was no excuse since he hadn't found out about the process until that moment. Rick then showed Chumlee the brown marks the real etchings often have from the copper plates, and told him that nothing else on the paper should be brown because that would point to poor quality paper that isn't acid free. To make the whole thing even more attractive to Chum, Rick offered him a day off if he could pass Rick's test and identify the real etching out of a selection of 3 pictures. Later on in the episode, Rick then gave Chumlee 3 potential Salvador Dali etchings, of which only one was real, and while Chumlee reminded him of the day off he was promised, the old man threatened to give him the rest of his life off without pay if he didn't pass the test.
I also get the day off if I get it right.
If you get it wrong, I might give you the rest of your life off.
Does that come with pay?
No.
After noticing some indentation on the first picture, Chum suspected that Rick and the old man might have done that to throw him off, so he took a closer look at the 2 other pictures before picking out the first picture as the real etching. Luckily, he made the right choice and was allowed to keep working at the world-famous gold and silver pawn shop.
I'll take tomorrow off then.
No, you take the day off. You better hurry up because it's almost quitting time.
You know, since it's only 15 minutes, I'd rather stay and bug you.
And we are pretty sure that no one will ever sell Chumlee a fake etching again. In the season 9 episode I'll Be Doggone, a woman brought in a Snoopy book from 1958 with a hand-drawn picture by author Charles Schulz.
Then the next caption, you got Snoopy doing the dog paddle on the back, just coasting along. I guess they're mad Snoopy can just swim like that.
She explained that her uncle had sent it to her when she was about 8 years old and that she was now ready to sell it, hoping to get $5 grand for it.
5,000, that's a lot. I'll give you 5 for it right now if you want to sell it. But not 1,000.
No, 5,000.
Since Chumlee was not sure how much the book was worth, or if the drawing was actually by the author or had perhaps just been added by the customer's uncle, he decided to call a rare books expert, Rebecca. The book lover was happy to see the book in such a good condition, with the paperback still intact and the red color of the cover not really faded. However, she also pointed out that one had to be very careful with the drawings when it comes to Schulz, because about half of them were fake. Luckily, she found this one to be real based on the fact that it was drawn routinely and that the signature had ink blots that would be impossible to fake. Because the drawing was of Lucy and not of Snoopy though, she estimated its value to be around $3,200 to $3,500. While the customer now asked for $3,000 and then went down to $2,500 and even $2,000, Chumlee wasn't willing to go higher than $1,400, and he eventually got her to agree to that.
14 is going to be it's just where I'm comfortable at. So if you want to take 14, I can do it for you.
All right, we'll take 14.
All right, it's a deal.
It almost felt like he was robbing her, since his explanation was that it would take a while to sell the book, even though Rebecca had just pointed out that the shop wouldn't have any trouble at all selling this book, since pretty much everyone knows and loves Snoopy. Similar to the person who sold him the fake etching, Chumlee probably wasn't feeling too happy about the customer who offered him a supposed Gibson mandolin in season 4, in an episode when Chum was minding the shop by himself.
Thank you.
After saying that Rick didn't like it when he made big deals alone, he also pointed out that his boss didn't like losing out on easy money either, so Chum decided to take the risk and go $500 over his $1,000 spending limit.
All right, that sounds good. I appreciate it.
Put another one in the wing column for Chumlee. Rick's probably going to give me a raise after he sees this.
However, when he took the mandolin to expert Jesse Amoroso, he learned that the A model with the Gibson on the headstock in the old script was one of the thousands of fakes that can be found around the United States. It did have the decals on the edges, and through one of the F-holes you could even see the stamp of the modern script Gibson logo, but besides that, it was very different from the originals. The Cowtown Guitars shop owner told Chumlee that the mandolin was fake as hell.
This is fake as hell, man.
I just paid $1,500 for that.
Ouch.
And said that it might be worth around $100. Chumlee is the only non-family cast member, but since he has been Corey's best friend since their early childhood, he still has a special place in the Harrisons' hearts. Even though he might not be the smartest guy on Pawn Stars, his immaturity and happy-go-lucky attitude bring a lot of humor to the show, which is why fans love him so much. And so do the Harrisons, which explains why they have stuck with him despite various mistakes Chumlee has made over the years that have cost the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop quite a bit of money. Although most people on Pawn Stars sell their items, the Harrisons also have customers who just want to pawn something. As you know, when you pawn an item, you leave something with the pawnbroker who will give you a loan of the item and can eventually sell it if you don't come back to repay the money and reclaim your possession within the agreed period. The loans you get on pawned items will normally be way below the actual value of an item, which leaves a potentially great profit margin for the pawn shop, but can also mean a huge loss for the shop if something goes wrong like it did in the Harrison store more than a decade ago. In an interview with the Huffington Post, Big Hoss revealed that Chumlee's biggest error in the shop happened before the show even started. After someone pawned their stand-up bass to the shop for $700, Chumlee leaned it against the shelf and walked away, but the bass fell and shattered into pieces. However, instead of telling his bosses about accidentally breaking the instrument, he decided to shove the pieces into a box and put the pawn number in the box as if nothing had happened. When the owner eventually came back to get the bass, he obviously freaked out upon discovering it in pieces, and the pawn shop had to pay the man the full value for it. Since it turned out to be a rare instrument, Rick ended up writing a check for $20,000. Rapper Flavor Flav rose to fame as a member of the hip-hop group Public Enemy in the 1980s, and in season 14 of Paw Stars he came to the Harrison's Pawn Shop with the statue of O.J. Simpson.
So yo, the reason why I brought this here to you is because I know that this is the place for me to get my right deal.
He then proceeded to introduce Chumlee to the statue, which was the original statue that once sat poolside at OJ's home on Rockingham Avenue in Los Angeles until his estate was liquidated in 1999. The hip-hop star was looking to sell his bronze friend because he didn't have enough space for him at his house and was convinced that the statue was worth at least $125. After taking a closer look at it, Chumlee said that the most he could do was probably 75 to 80 grand, and only after checking with his boss. Flavor was pretty disappointed. It seemed almost angry for a moment because he didn't seem to understand why Chum couldn't go higher than that.
I mean,
and that's the best you could do for me, 75 to 80,000. That's the best.
That's a good offer. I mean,
come on, man, you the porn star master, G.
Even though he knew that the O.J. Simpson statue would sell for over 100 grand at auction.
You can go over 100 in the auction, and how come you won't give me 125?
Come on, Flav, you know I gotta make a profit in here.
Ultimately, the rapper understood that the pawn shop still needed to make a profit, but decided that he would rather hold on to the statue then and try to sell it at auction himself. Thank you for checking this video out, and don't forget to smash that like button and also subscribe for new videos every day. Turn that bell notification on and comment down below that you subscribed, and we'll make sure to reply and thank as many of you as we possibly can. Once again, thank you for watching and see you next time.